Hello everyone, I'm Yibo Wang. The case study I bring today will focus on serious social problem, energy hardship. Before I begin, I would like to show two photos to show the importance of energy to the family. A happy family stayed in a bright warm home. Another is because of energy difficulties. One person can only wear thick clothes to spend the winter in a cold home. Therefore, I will analyze the social problem of energy hardship in 6 types from the perspective of social marketing and give my recommendations. First, the definition and background of energy hardship. Let's watch a short video.
Goes around 1 in 5 Australian households could be experiencing energy hardship. Energy hardship can happen when you're spending too much on your energy bill, having difficulty paying it, or limiting how much energy you use, even though it might be really uncomfortable. Energy retailers are required to have programs to support people experiencing hardship, but these can only go so far.
Through video content and the energy justice theory proposed by Walker and Day in 2012, energy hardship refers to households unable to meet basic energy needs, such as heating and cooling, or are under heavy economic pressure as a result. This is far more than an economic problem, but also has a profound impact on people's health, well-being, and dignity. Moreover, the reality is harsh. Energy Consumer Australia report states that nearly 1 in 5 Australian households are experiencing or at risk of falling into energy hardship. Next, I will use a systems analysis method to study the cases of energy hardship. First, let's look at the cited short video.
But our research shows over half of Australian households vulnerable to or experiencing energy hardship are renters. This matters because people who rent often have less say over making energy improvements to their home, like installing insulation, double-glazed windows, or solar panels.
Through the video and related content, we can learn that energy difficulties are not caused by a single cause, but by a complex systemic problem intervened by 3 core drivers: low income, energy efficient housing, and high energy prices. For example, as the video shows, almost 70% of households with multiple energy difficulties in Australia are renters. Meanwhile, only 37% of rental homes have insulation, compared to 80% of owner occupancy. This shows that poor housing energy efficiency is one of the important drivers of energy difficulties. In addition to these core issues, its preference rounds. First one, the policy and economic factors. For example, market liberalization and privatization continue to drive up rental electricity prices. Sociocultural, sociocultural factors, notions such as coping discourage people from seeking help as enduring the cold as strong. Technical factors. The high cost of green technology had led to green divides that exclude those who need it most. All of these factors interact to trap vulnerable families firmly in a vicious circle of energy difficulties. Next, I will conduct a competitive analysis of behavioral and social change in energy hardship. Traditional social marketing advocates behavior such as asking for help and investing in energy efficiency. However, they face stronger and more direct competitive behavior in reality. For example, many people are forced to choose to cope in the cold in winter or make a difficult choice, for example, between heating or eating. These actions reveal a harsh reality. It is not enough to let people apply and receive subsidies because they make desperate trade-off every day. Secondly, through research, it is found that the deeper competition about energy difficulties lies in narratives and concepts. We hope to promote the new mainstream social concept that energy is a fundamental right, but it must overturn the powerful and deeply entrenched old narrative, such as energy is a luxury. These false notions distort systemic failures into individual failures, thus protecting the status quo of injustice. From a social system perspective, the real competition is energy justice versus the status quo of inequality. One side is the future we pursue, principled by energy justice, characterized by monetary standards, equitable access, and community empowerment. On the other side is the unequal status quo that we are fighting, characterized by voluntary guidelines and the green divide and corporate power. This is the ultimate competition faced by social marketing. For years, mainstream responses have been limited to 3 main categories. The first one is financial assistance, such as the New South Wales government subsidy for low-income families. This is followed by information campaigns, which are generic energy-saving tips that flood the websites of major governments and energy campaigns. Historically, past efforts such as electricity discounts and light-off advertisements for pensioners have followed the same paradigm, focusing on managing individuals rather than changing the system. Critical analysis reveals three drawbacks in those solutions. First, for various government subsidies and preferential policies, there are band-aid programs. Subsidies create dependency, but they don't address the injustices of inefficient housing and energy market structures, and they violate the principle of distributive justice. Secondly, for information promotion activities, there are a one-size-fits-all communication plan. Its message often implies a tendency to blame the victim and completely ignore the needs of multicultural communities, which violates the principles of procedural justice and cultural pluralism. Thirdly, and most fundamentally, there is a systemic exclusion of these measures. This group most affected by energy hardship, low-income renters, indigenous people, and people with disabilities are completely marginalized in the decision-making process, which is a completely violation of the principles of recognition and procedural justice and the need for diversity. As the data shows, 65% of households that meet the energy hardship indicator don't participate in any electricity retailers hardship assistance programs. 30% haven't conducted an electricity retailers, and 49% haven't applied for government support, indicating that the coverage of assistance policies is limited. Regarding future recommendations, first, let's look at the third short video.
To your energy bills. Our research shows that around half of households vulnerable to or experiencing energy hardship say they have very high bills. Households experiencing energy hardship need real, long-term help. If all rental properties were energy efficient, more Australians would benefit from lower energy bills and be able to live more comfortably. That's why we're calling for minimum energy performance standards for renters in all states and territories. These standards are in place in some states. We'd like to see them rolled out nationwide.
Through video and related research analysis, the future of social marketing must undergo a fundamental paradigm shift. As Thomas Kuhn described, a paradigm shift is a fundamental change from one framework of thought to another. Therefore, I propose 4 recommendations with justice at its core. First one, promote policy change. Promote the popularization of mandatory housing energy efficiency standards and achieve distributive justice at the root. And then strengthen community collaboration. Collaborate formally with the multicultural community leaders and indigenous representatives to co-design solutions using multilingual information to practice procedural and recognized justice. Thirdly, reinventing the narrative. It means the radically shifting the framework from personal responsibility to energy rights. And then integrated solutions that we can promote rental plans for low-cost and energy-efficient appliances to ensure that the solutions are culturally friendly and effectively close the green divide. These recommendations are not only in line with a systematic approach to social marketing, but also put cultural diversity and social justice at the center. This case tells us that social marketing must go beyond the individual level and become a catalyst for systemic change. Additionally, social marketing requires cultural diversity and social justice as core principles. Only in this way, we can truly end the energy hardship and ensure that every family can enjoy warmth, light, and dignity. As I want to emphasize today, energy is not a luxury, but a basic human right. Thank you.